The life of a hunter. It's not about an end result. It's about an expedition. A journey that leads us into wild places, both near and far. In a time where some believe hunting is not relevant to modern society, we carry the torch and stand on the foundations of those that have come before us. We continue to invest into the ecosystems of which we must sustain. It's an effort to conserve, to provide, and celebrate God's renewable resources.
Yes! Hey, 380 plus.
I killed Mark Hackney.
It is our life. It is our passion. And we make no apologies for our God-given right to hunt. Whitetail hunting runs deep in the DNA of the given right. Our minds do not stop thinking about deer season once it closes. We are working and strategizing all 365 days a year to set ourselves up for success once the season comes back around. We enhance habitat, construct food plots, study travel patterns, and watch trail cameras in an attempt to better understand the deer in the area. We are able to become familiar with the deer that live on our farms and are usually able to gauge their potential based on our prior knowledge. Every once in a while, a buck will have a significant year of growth that stops everyone in their tracks. On a small piece of ground in the state of Minnesota, a deer called Splitters did just that.
Today I'm in my happy place. I know I say this every time I hunt here, but this is the number one most favoriteest place in the world to hunt. Minnesota at the old barn. We have deer we call Splitters that we passed on last year. Actually, just wasn't quite big enough to shoot, just a pretty little deer. That pretty little deer turned into a stud this year. He was one of those deer that gains 30, 35 inches. He got splitters on both the 3s and 4s on both sides, just a nice little wide rack. And he was way up the hollow earlier in the year, and we didn't think he'd come down. And as soon as he went hard-horned, guess what? Shows up at the barn. He's been here basically every other night, not every night, but he's around.
Knowing that Splitters was in the area, Mark decided to spend every chance he could in the barn. As a front moved through on his second afternoon sit, a mature buck appears early in the hunt. Seeing this deer on his feet made Mark optimistic that Splitters might show himself before dark.
That was a cool looking deer. He's got really heavy mass. About 12, 13 points about it. I could check, I didn't know for sure. He comes straight in the back. It's only 520, 525. Came right in. He's not one of our shooters, but just cool encounter.
After this buck disappeared into the corn, they looked up and saw Splitters walking across the end of the food plot.
Splitters. I saw some corn moving down here earlier. I could tell it was a buck, but I thought it was the first buck to walk through, but it wasn't. It was him. He walked up on the backside, walked right across it, the opening of the clover, feeding in the corn. But he's here.
For the next several minutes, Splitters remained on the edge of the food plot. Although he was unable to take a shot with a bow, being in the presence of a whitetail of this magnitude was an incredible encounter. As As Splitters made his way up the ridge, Mark began making plans for his next opportunity to get back in the barn. The Given Right is being brought to you by Bare Bone Outdoors, Bone Collector Game Calls, CVA, Dry Shod, Fission, and Insights. After laying his eyes on Splitters during his second sit of the year, it wasn't until October that Mark was able to return to Minnesota and continue his quest for the deer.
I'm excited, dude. It's deer season. I mean, deer season. Like whitetail season. Cool air. Got long johns on. Spray down a little bit. Wind's gonna be marginal for us. You can tell when I get serious. We carry these on the back. Let's go get them. October 21st, in the infamous barn here in Minnesota. After deer we call it Splitters. It's got splits on all of his tines on both sides. Dan and I had him out in front of us about 75 yards when the corn was up. Probably about a month ago. Couldn't get a shot at him. Since then, they've harvested the corn. We've actually planted winter wheat in here. Planted it late, but it's for early season anyway, so got corn standing here and corn behind us. We're gonna sit back and let Mother Nature do what it does. Yeah, it's got about an hour and a half before sunset, just a little bit more. So we got probably an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 25 minutes before it gets too dark to shoot. So prime time is here, baby, prime time.
Hunting in this barn allows Mark the chance to move around and watch all corners of the draw. While Mark was standing watch on the opposite end of the barn, Tyler looks up and sees Splitter trailing a doe directly towards them.
Okay. He's gonna follow that doe right to us. Don't go behind us, come on. Okay, cool.
Instead of following this doe into bow range, Splitters turned and headed off downwind, behind the barn. Mark was getting closer to having his shot at this deer, but it wasn't going to happen tonight. The next afternoon was spent back in the barn, and the bucks were out early, showing all the signs of the rut. As a doe came barreling through the area, they turned to see Splitters right on her tail. The Given Right is being brought to you by Lethal, Polaris, Reveal, Scrape Fix, Swagger, and Tacticam. Mark is in southern Minnesota chasing a deer that he calls splitters. After multiple encounters with the buck during bow season, he disappeared from the farm over the next several weeks. As muzzleloader season came in, Mark continued his quest for the deer throughout the month of November, but was growing more concerned after each sit without an encounter.
Just a big 8. Is he big?
It wasn't until Thanksgiving that the deer reappeared on camera and caused Mark to change up his strategy by vacating the barn and moving one of his blinds in the middle of a recently harvested cornfield.
All right, that should do it. We just got done with picking the corn here in Minnesota. Got 4 reveals set up along this corn here. We're gonna go freshen up the scrape and get out of here, sneak out of here so they can hunt tonight.
November 30th. We've been hunting basically 2.5 months full time. We have a lot of sits. I'm talking, we sat up on the hill in the mornings, climbed that brutal straight uphill, sweating our butts off. And we've hunted the barn, we've hunted over here, we've hunted up a hollow. If we do see him, we'll probably come off this hillside. It'd be great to get some video of him coming in because he's beautiful, just one of the prettiest deer I've ever seen. So that's the plan for this afternoon. Kenneth is actually down with the guys from Hornady in Oklahoma, so they're down there. Hopefully they shoot a couple deer in the next couple days too. So we're full tilt. Given Right's got a good year going. Kenneth's just kicking butt. He's got some beautiful deer, mule deer, elk on the ground. Because of my, I guess, stubborn mentality, I've only got 1 deer down because I've been chasing this deer. But over the next couple of weeks, we're hunting hard. I'm actually going to be 21 days in a row hunting, not nonstop every day. So hopefully we can put a couple of them down on the ground. Tonight, we're only after splitters though.
As the afternoon came to a close, the deer were on their feet, but splitters never made an appearance. With over 30 sits under his belt, Mark remained persistent and kept going back time and time again.
I'm so tired of doing interviews here in Minnesota. This would be interview probably 35, 37, somewhere in that area of our story and our mission to kill a deer we call splitters. So I told Tyler we're coming down here. We're not hunting splitters today. We're gonna do a turkey audit. He laughed. That's what we're doing today. We're not hunting. We're just going to take the gun with us just in case, but we're not hunting. We're just gonna do a turkey audit. We're gonna count turkeys.
With an overnight wind shift, Mark returned to the barn for his afternoon sit. As another day came to a close, Mark's determination never wavered. He continued his quest to catch up to splitters day in and day out. Feeling confident in his strategy, he returned to the blind in the middle of the cornfield. The Given Right is being brought to you by Thorn Broadheads, Titan Hunting Blinds, Trophy Tree Stands, Victory Archery, Texas Trophy Hunters, WHITETAIL, and Gator Waders. With Mark approaching his 40th sit after splitters in the state of Minnesota, a cold front moves through to set the stage for a magical afternoon.
Can you get a look at him? I'm pretty sure it's him. Yeah. If it's not, it's a big deer. Yeah, it's him. Looks like him.
With the day winding down, they spot splitters over 500 yards away. Although he is heading in their direction, all they can do is cross their fingers that he will close the distance before dark.
Oh, yeah, there he is. Right there. All the way in the corner. All the way in the corner. To the right. Yeah. Look, there he is. Just right there. I'm positive. Okay. The right of the old. Oh, I guess. Way right. Yeah, way right. Yeah, get right in line with the house. He's walking right towards us. Just take your time. He's coming up to the corner. I'm on him whenever you're ready. Okay, give me a second. Okay. You ready? Yeah. He's looking behind me. Okay, you ready? Yeah. Straight down. You just killed a Minnesota giant, baby. I don't know if you could tell, but I was nervous because I was breathing heavy. 40 days. 40 days. Running out of camera light. I couldn't get on him. I was shaking. I could guarantee you could hear me breathing. What a feeling. T-Weave. Thanks, brother. Thank you. You stick it out with me. You talk me through it. Calm down. Take your time. We got a giant on the ground. My goodness, Tyler. Look at it. Can you see that up there? Look at the size of that thing. My goodness. He's bigger. Oh, look at this. Tyler, are you ready? What do you say? I mean, look at that. This deer has put us through the ringer this year. I mean, just in a good way. Don't get me wrong. To have an opportunity to be able to harvest and even just see a deer of this size, let alone have a half a dozen encounters with him. Literally probably a half a dozen. I'll have to go back, so I apologize if I get the numbers wrong. But we've been chasing him since the first day that it opened up bow season here in Minnesota. We saw him, Tyler and I, well, Dan and I had him at 78 yards. I couldn't get a shot at him through the corn over here out of the barn. And then Tyler and I had seen him multiple times. Curtis and I saw him, and he just, in the last couple weeks, he'd been in our food plot here just after we left. I mean, like 12 minutes one night, 16 minutes the next. He's just smart enough to know not to come out here in the daylight. And tonight, another Minnesota stud. Just a stud of a deer. Yes! Never apologize for your God-given right to hunt. Look at this. Woo! What a stud, Tyler.
Putting so much effort into one deer can be a mentally exhausting task. The highs of the encounters are juxtaposed with the hundreds of hours of waiting and disappointment. Knowing that they continued to get so close to this deer kept that fire lit inside of Mark to see this harvest come to fruition. The respect that grew for the deer throughout the season is something only a hunter can understand. Splitters is a deer that will go down in the history books for the given right, and his story will live on for years to come.